Hey everyone, I'm Steph,
I'm Megan.
and welcome to another episode of Late Night Reads.
This week we are talking contemporary romance and covering Flirting Lessons by Jasmine Guillory.
So let's start with why we selected Flirting Lessons. I've personally read every single one of her books and have enjoyed them, so I knew her latest book was definitely going to go on our TBR. I love how inclusive the characters in all of her books are, and we want to have the same type of inclusivity on our show in the books that we cover. So this is her first queer romance, which made sense for us to pick it. Also, if you've read Drunk on Love, so you'll learn a lot of her books are kind of standalones, but they have interconnected characters. We got to meet Avery a little bit, and I was really intrigued about her and her personality and excited to learn more about her life. And then finally, how can you not want to read a book called Flirting Lessons? It's such a
Right?
creative and unexpected title. I'm like, what do you mean? Is that
I know, I
something,
was like, do I need to take some notes? I'm like, but my we're married, so also at the same time we're like, eh. But like still like flirt with your spouse, you know? Like there's some good date ideas in here for sure.
there are good and unexpected date ideas.
Yes. And here are a few things you should know about the author Jasmine Guillory. So, she is a New York Times best-selling author and has written 9 novels, including The Wedding Date, Drunk on Love, and her latest book, Flirting Lessons. She wrote her first 3 published books while working full-time as a lawyer, which I'm impressed. How did you have time for that?
Right?
Yeah, and she lives in Oakland, California, which California plays a prominent role in the majority of her books, in all kind of like NorCal area. So that's kind of cool for me because I'm like, hey, it's right up the road. Well, 6 hours up the road, but I have a lot of Bay Area friends, so I'm just like, I know this area, I'm familiar.
Before we jump into the book, a couple of key reminders. As always, this episode will contain spoilers. We assume if you're listening, you've read it, you've been warned. And then there are a couple of topics in this book that may be sensitive for some readers. One of the main characters has a lot of anxiety, and then a side character does mention pregnancy and a miscarriage.
But now let's talk tropes. So, first we have friends to lovers. Taylor and Avery start out as friends, with Taylor coaching Avery on how to flirt with women, causing them to develop a friendship that eventually turns into something more. Because, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then we also have opposites attract. In the beginning of the book, Avery and Taylor are complete opposites. Avery is super organized and type A, while Taylor is much more relaxed and spontaneous, doesn't have her labels on bins and stuff like that. And then you have betting. Taylor's best friend Erica makes a bet with her to not sleep with anyone until after Labor Day, which causes Taylor to try to avoid her initial interest in Avery. Very fun dynamics here,
Right.
which
And
causes a
there
lot of drama.
a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama in this book.
Hmm.
So we have two main characters, Taylor Cameron and Avery Jensen, and they're, as Megan said, complete opposites. Taylor is incredibly outgoing. She can easily pick up women that she meets without even trying. I think we've all met someone, regardless of how they identify, that is just that charismatic and everyone is drawn to, which is
Yeah.
why her so-called best friend Erica, which you'll probably hear me reference multiple times about Erica's character,
Yeah.
makes a makes a bet with her that she can't sleep with anyone until Labor Day. If Erica wins, then Taylor has to throw her a baby shower, which is literally like Taylor's worst thing that could happen to her, I think.
Yeah, she's like, what? I don't want to do that. No.
She's not, right? But if Taylor wins, she gets a spa day, which sounds like a good prize. Everyone could use one. And so as soon as that comes out, it's pretty clear like Taylor's gonna sleep with someone, she's gonna lose the bet. But
Yeah.
I think the other thing is it starts to call out how Erica thinks about Taylor, which is a big theme throughout the book. And you'll hear me rant on Taylor and Erica's friendship a lot. Erica's not my
Yeah.
favorite character.
No, same.
And
Because
then
Taylor reminds me a lot of Adina Menzel's character in Rent. Well,
yes,
in the movie Rent. I mean, not the original when she was Mimi. But just like how she's like super outgoing and like the song "Take Me or Leave Me," and she's just like, every single day I walk down the street. She's just like, everybody loves me. She's like, I don't care. I'm like, that's Taylor in my mind.
yes.
And I'm
But
like, good luck not sleeping with anybody for a while. Like, good luck.
right, good luck.
Yeah.
And then we have Avery, who is like the type A, buttoned up, as Megan said, like has bins, has labels on them. I could
Hmm.
relate a lot to her.
Yeah.
Um, And she
Everything's
isn't
neatly organized and
organized.
just
She has spreadsheets. I love
mhm.
spreadsheets.
Oh,
So,
good.
but she's not really comfortable in her own skin when we first meet her. She recently ended a pretty bad relationship with her boyfriend Derek, and now she wants to date women, which is a brand new experience for her. I do wish that we knew more about why she wanted to date women and kind of like that. Has she always been interested in women? Like that would have been, I think, helpful to the backstory. It just kind of was like,
Yeah.
oh, she does.
Yeah. It's like we just kind of like picked up and like pivoted and it's like, well, where did it come from?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's really where the story starts. Avery's looking to get back on the dating scene and needs to know how to flirt, especially with women. So she has a couple of glasses of wine at the Noble Family Vineyards, which we first saw in the Drunk on Love book. And she shares this information with Taylor, which, if she hadn't had a couple of glasses of wine, she would not have shared. I think
Yeah.
all of us have probably been there before. And Taylor's
Too
like,
many glasses of rosé. I'm like, oh,
right,
that's literally me to a T. I have too
right.
much rosé.
And then I said too much. Oopsies.
Oops.
Oopsies. And Taylor's like, well, I'll help you flirt, which is like kind of that thrill, like, okay, Avery's excited because like Taylor's very attractive to her. She's the queen of flirting.
Yeah.
But then it's like that moment, it's like the next day you're like, oh, wait, I
What did
am,
I do?
what did I do? And that's where
Yeah.
you first see like Avery's anxiety really kind of come to life, especially when she's not control of a situation or doesn't have all of the information. She's a planner, literally an
Mhm.
event planner, and plans out
Yeah.
everything in her life. And it doesn't help that Taylor's kind of like fly by the seat of your pants, I feel like. So there are very few details that Taylor gives her about these so-called flirting lessons. But what I love is the only thing she tells her is it'll be Tuesday, I'll come pick you up at this time and wear something nerdy but approachable. Those are not instructions that are helpful when choosing an outfit.
No.
Like, what does that
No.
mean? Like, is that like Britney Spears? Hit me baby one more time. Is that like J. Crew preppy? Like, what is that?
Yeah, how I need like inspo pics. Like send me a Pinterest chart where I know like what I'm supposed to do. So I understand Avery's anxiety here. I'm like, what does this mean?
What does this
Like
mean?
I don't know. Do I wear fake glasses? Do I not? Like is that too far?
Is it librarian? Is it not? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like sexy librarian? Is that what you
Right.
mean?
I need information. And that's like a theme throughout the book is the information Avery gets. And part of it's, I think, to push her outside of her comfort zone is I'll pick you up at this time, where, and then some vague information that she
Yeah.
has to kind of interpret. And she can ask questions, but the answer is basically, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, great. Thanks so much. And like in addition to anxiety, Avery is also struggling to like take a compliment about herself. So she has like some self-esteem issues, which like maybe that came from her previous relationship, like maybe there was something between there. But it seems to like really make her uncomfortable because she struggles to believe that if the compliment is true and she doesn't know how to respond to it. So this comes to light fairly quickly because Taylor like immediately compliments her on how smoking hot she is for their first lesson together. She's like, "Damn, girl, like you look amazing." And she's like, "Hey, thanks. Like maybe you're just saying that to like make me feel better." And she's like, "No, like just take the compliment." Then they also agree to always be honest with each other, which is why I think they can build such a deep friendship so quickly. And then it turns into the romantic relationship that ultimately, hopefully, will go the distance. But back to the first flirting lesson. In the car, Taylor starts to provide Avery with some general rules around flirting, such as most people like to be flirted with in the same way that they flirt. So there isn't really like a one size fits all approach, etc. And Avery literally takes notes on her phone, which is super funny to see happen and super reflects her personality. And I feel like this is also like that book of like how to get people to like you kind of a thing, where it's like you ask them questions about themselves and like you like make eye contact, repeat their name, and like very similar. And I'm like, how does Avery not know how to just like talk to people? It's just like I don't know. It's very funny, but she has to take notes on everything. So the first lesson we find out takes place at a bookstore where a queer romance author is giving a talk. And it suddenly like makes sense. Avery's like, okay, like I get it, why you're telling me to wear this stuff. And they get there and Taylor challenges Avery to find 5 people to talk to the event. And the cashier doesn't count. Like you have to find people to flirt with. And this challenge pushes Avery out of her comfort zone, but she does surprisingly well, especially since this is where she meets Beth, who is new in town and ends up becoming her friend later, and they do a little garden together later in the book. So it helps her to not only like learn to flirt, but just like engage in friendships, which is nice.
Yes, I agree. I think what's interesting about her compliment piece that you mentioned is that I think a lot of people struggle with that because they're not, at least like our generation, we're not raised to be like, oh, thank you, and take compliments. We're raised to be like, oh, that's okay, okay. And
Yeah,
now
like
I'm just like, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think it's a real problem that a lot of people have.
yeah.
I would not take notes on my phone like that though.
No,
So that
no,
I was
no,
just like,
no.
Taylor, you are giving Avery pretty basic information. Avery does not need to write this down.
Yeah, no.
So
But Avery feels like she does.
she
So
does, which I think is like it fits her personality. I also love that like she likes the extra credit. Like she thinks about everything like it's going to be graded for these flirting lessons, which is kind of funny.
she was definitely that person in school, for
Yes.
sure. Yeah. Taylor was like the party girl in school, and Avery was definitely like president of the ASB.
Yes. And doing all the extra credit even though she already had an A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably you too, Steph.
Yep. I was like,
Yeah.
yep.
You're Avery in this situation, and I'm Taylor. I'm like, hey, what's up? Have some rosé.
I like rosé though.
I know, and that's where we connect, and it's great.
But I am definitely type A.
And I love that about you.
So
I
I
really
do
do.
relate to Avery in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
so when Taylor meets Erica at her house, it's very clear, like, and I think we've all been there with friendships where you're at different points in your life where you were really close, and now Erica's married, she's pregnant, she has a house, and Taylor hasn't had a serious relationship in a long time. And this is where I started to hate Erica
Yeah.
so much that I could not let
Yeah.
it go. So it basically feels like Erica holds over her head the fact that Taylor doesn't have serious relationships. And I get that like when you're in a healthy relationship, you want other people you care about to be in relationships like you because you want them to find what you've found. I get that. I don't think that's what this was. I think it's definitely like there's a level of meanness to it. So I don't know why or when it became okay for people to feel like they can openly criticize other people's lives that have like nothing to do with them. Like, what is Taylor's relationship status? How's that hurt you, Erica? It doesn't. So I'm just not a fan of like constant like I get like it's fun to tease people every once in a while, right? Like I like that aspect of it, but I feel like when you're constantly teasing people about the same thing and start putting them down, like which is what it feels like Erica does every time she interacts with Taylor, like that starts to like cross a line for me.
It becomes like bullying.
Yes. I almost put that as a warning because it felt a little bit like bullying, but I didn't know if anyone else would see it that way. But it does feel that way a little bit.
It's almost like Erica's like the Regina George. Like she's this like kind of mean girl, and Taylor's like, I want to still be your friend, but like you're kind of being a dick. Like,
Yes, that is a great example because I do think she fits that. And everyone's
yeah,
kind of like, I don't know, not scared of her, but they just put up with it. It drives me crazy.
yeah.
But
I think
I,
Erica's probably one of those people that like later in life, like it's okay to close the chapter on them.
yes,
You know, it's like, what's she bringing to your life? Like she's obviously like honestly very narcissistic. Erica's
yes,
like, what about me? What about me? What about me? And it's like, I understand, like, you have a life and you're married and you have a family starting. And it's like, but the world doesn't revolve around you.
yeah. I don't know if Erica
Um,
got that
I
message.
don't think she
She
does.
needs
She's got
to.
some growing to do. Maybe
She
after the
does.
baby, she like will chill out.
We'll see. We'll
See.
see. I don't know. But Avery, like after one flirting lesson, we see Avery start to take some more chances. So she heard about the community garden from Beth, and then she was like, "Well, maybe I'll just like show up." But will that be weird? Like it's almost like she questions like everything. Like, will people think that's weird if I show up? Well, you mentioned it, so no,
Just go. Yeah,
just
you're
go.
fine.
Well, and Beth's like excited to see her again, and they end up taking over a garden bed for the rest of the season, which is just really funny because keep referring to it as like a garden bed, which I know that's technically what it's called, but also like it's kind of comical because there's lots of comments about like the size of zucchini. It was just really funny. Like I would see like if you and I were to ever garden, which I don't think we would, but if we were to ever really do that, like that's something I could see like the two of us like just chuckling up. Like, did you size the size of the zucchini? Oh my God. She called it a
There's so
bed.
many euphemisms. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, we're going to bed together. Like, that's a great dildo size.
I know, right? Like it was pretty funny.
Oh my God, that was
But
good.
and I love that like neither one of them knew anything about gardening. And there's like a bunch of like other experts around that I anticipated were older women that are like helping them, which is really
Yeah,
cute. But it's the start of like a really good friendship between Beth and Avery. And I love
yeah,
that Avery is also a problem solver. So Beth is like a little stressed and she's like, what's going on? Tells her about this drama around the wedding. If you've ever planned a wedding, there's always drama. Always. And
yeah,
so Avery's like, "Oh, well, why don't you just have a surprise wedding? And then that way, you both get what you want and you don't have to worry about like meddling parents." And
yeah.
I'm like, everyone should do that.
Yes, yes. Or elope.
Or elope.
One of the two. So the next flirting lesson involves salsa dancing, which is definitely outside of Avery's comfort zone. Like going to a book club, not knowing what to wear was very stressful for Avery. So now being told like what to wear to go to a salsa dancing class when you don't know it's salsa dancing, like she was like freaked out. She was like, half of these people here are in dresses, half of them were in like yoga gear. Like, is this a yoga class? And like, I don't know what's going on. So she goes to realize it's like, okay, it's a dance class. And then she's like, oh shit, I don't want to dance. I don't know how to dance. But Avery does get to meet a few of Taylor's friends for the first time who did not know that they would be there, but they are very much interested in what's going on between the two of them. Because they're like, Taylor, you have a reputation. Like, who is this? But it's also interesting because most of Taylor's friends seem to have also kind of dated her at some point or like maybe hooked up. Which I do know that like sometimes like in the gay and queer community, like that does tend to happen sometimes. Like you like kind of hook up with each other and then you later like, it didn't work out, we're better as friends, but like we can still be like amicable. So I think in this case, Avery's just like starting to kind of dip her toes in that and is like, wait, you guys are all friends, but like you dated, and it's like trying to do all the triangles of who's with who for real now. Like,
Yeah,
but nobody's, yeah,
Taylor should have given her like a map or like a
yeah,
chart, like, hey, or more information about each person. And I think part of that was also intentional to make her feel uncomfortable, to get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. But I'm also like, couldn't you have like given her a heads up, like, hey, this is who's going to be. And I know this time, like, she didn't necessarily know they were going to be there, but it would
right,
have been
yeah,
nice to like have some context around
yeah,
that. See, that's
yeah,
the planner. I mean, that's like, I need all of the information. Who will be there? What do you
yeah.
know about them? What have they done?
Yeah. But then it's interesting because then Taylor's like, okay, like here's the rules for your flirting lesson. Like you have to dance with somebody that you find attractive. So like you can't just pick like a random person. Like you have to actually be generally attracted to them to like test yourself, test your boundaries. And Avery does, and apparently that really bothers Taylor because she just tends to watch Avery at every single second, being like, who is Avery dancing with? Does Avery like this person? Like you start to see like Taylor gets jealous. Basically,
Yeah.
she's like, "Wait, I'm attracted to Avery. I want to know who Avery's attracted to. So maybe like, would she be attracted to someone like me? I don't know." Because there's a whole lot of different types of like not stereotypical, but like different like looks, if you will, in like the queer community. So she's like, is Avery more attracted to a femme like her, or is she more attracted to like a masculine, or is she kind of like a chapstick? These are all terms I had to look up as well because I'm like, I don't know them all. Like who's who, where do you kind of like not fit, but you know, like where generally are you attracted to and like who are you attracted to? So, but it's funny because Taylor's getting super jealous. And of course we're already like, yeah, Taylor, you're not gonna last in this bet. Like it's you're gonna lose. And then the third flirting lesson requires Avery to dress lean risque, which Taylor, where are you coming up with these attires? Like, what does that even mean? Like, a little bit risque, but like, not quite. Like, hmm.
Or
And
like,
so
does
this,
it mean like wear tight clothes?
yeah,
Like
I don't,
What does it mean?
am I wearing leather? Like, what am I wearing here?
Like, did you wake up and
Which
say, like, I'm gonna take two random words and stick them together and send a text and see what happens? Because that's what it feels
lean
like.
risque versus fat risque?
Versus like big risque. Like,
Big,
what do you
yeah.
mean?
I'm
What
so
do you
confused.
mean?
A Pinterest board would be very helpful at this point.
Right?
Um, but this lesson really pushes Avery outside her comfort zone because it turns out it's a burlesque show, which I think would be super fun to go to. I've been to like a bunch of drag queen shows and like it's basically a burlesque show in its own fashion and they are super fun. And I knew right away, I'm like, oh my gosh, Avery's gonna get pulled into something with like audience participation, which she does. And they end up sitting near the front, and Taylor warns her, like, hey, like, you're probably gonna get picked on something because you're just like, cute and adorable, and we're sitting here. Like, but if you don't want to, like, we can go sit somewhere else. So it's nice that Taylor, like, gives her the options to say no to things. Like, if this is too far out of your comfort zone, like, just let me know. But Avery's like, no, no, we're good, we're good. I'm like, are you?
Are
Are you
you?
okay with
Do you know what's
this?
about to happen?
I don't think you do. So they're waiting for the show, and this is where Taylor and Avery have a conversation about what women at the show they would be attracted to. Because again, Taylor's trying to figure out what is her type. And it's funny because Avery is insanely attracted to Taylor, but doesn't want to tell her that. So it's like they're both just like, we like each other, but we're not going to say anything yet because we're supposed to just be friends and be hanging out. But like, it really doesn't help that Taylor is very sexually frustrated at this point due to the bet with Erica. And like, she finds Avery super hot, but can't do anything about it because of the bet. So Taylor is constantly playing with fire when it comes to Avery. So like, they're pointing at each other, like, do you think this person like wearing this is hot or attractive? And Avery's like, yeah, like, I think they're attractive, but they're not my type. And so instead of asking like why, Avery's like, or Taylor's like, okay, like, let's try and like weed this out a little bit more. So again, like they're pointing different people, like, yes, no, maybe, but yeah, I think that might be my type. And Taylor's like, gotcha. Sounds like maybe Taylor is her type then. Hmm. But before we can even really get into that more, the show starts. And Avery ends up surprising everybody when she ends up getting picked and is a super good sport about the whole entire interactive portion and ends up taking the boa from one of the dancers home. And she gets blue tasseled boobs shook in her face and she's just like, oh my God. So it's like a huge turning point in helping her break out of her comfort zone and honestly one of the most memorable moments of the book. So I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. And I also am like, how did all these boas like stay like attached and like when she like spun out of it and like,
Yes.
revealed everything? I'm like, how were they all connected? Like I was like trying to think like a magician when they pull out like the like just different like ribbons out of their sleeves and it just keeps going. I'm like, it just keeps unraveling.
I was like, did you use like a lot of like boob tape? Like, what was going on? How did this all work?
How did this happen? How did you also manage just to remove that one from this entire sequence and not have it like fall apart?
Exactly. I had lots of questions about that, but I loved
Yeah.
that Avery just kind of like took the bull by the horns and just did and participated to it because I did not expect at that point in the book she would feel that comfortable doing it.
No, I really didn't either.
So,
Interesting.
but she is continuing to embrace new things, and that continues to happen with Beth. So she starts confiding in Beth, which is really like a great friendship that they have, especially when you
Yeah.
compare Taylor and Erica. And she talks
Mm-hmm.
about Beth, about how she wants to date women, how she's been working with Taylor on flirting lessons, which is like a really vulnerable moment to admit to someone that like you don't feel like you're good at flirting and that you don't know how to really find someone to date, especially since she doesn't know Beth that well at this point. But I think Taylor pushing her out of her comfort zone is like helping her put her heart out there more. And then we see Taylor's feelings towards Avery continue to grow, or at least like initially her sexual interest in Avery. Because if this bet
One
didn't
thing
happen,
also,
I think they would have had sex already.
yes. And also, I want to point out with Beth, it was kind of her first time like coming out to someone in that way. Because Beth was like Greta and I are trying to figure out, like her fiance, like we're trying to figure out, like, are you gay or are you not gay? Because like they can't decipher one way or the other. Like her fiance thinks she's not. She thinks she's straight. But Beth is like, no, I think there's something going on. And so it like kind of like not again like kind of forces Avery to like come clean about her interests with women.
Yes,
But I think that also helps Avery herself be like, that's the first time I've like kind of identified this way. And like then she just starts talking about the flirting lessons and stuff. So it's, I think, also an important moment not only for like their friendship, like Avery and Beth, but also just for Avery in general to be like, yeah, I do identify this way now, and I think this is maybe who I've always been, but I want to explore it. So it's, I think I'm really proud of her in that moment for just trusting herself and like being true to herself.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
But Erica, I don't like Erica so much.
we
She's
don't
annoying me.
we don't like her. But Taylor does like Avery.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and we see that, Taylor starts inviting Avery to other things, like Callie's birthday party. And she makes it, well, Callie wanted me to invite you, which I mean, sure. But Avery can't go because of, like, I think she had a work commitment at the time. And then Taylor's disappointed because she was hoping it would be there, right? So I think like that's where you start to see there's more than just, I think Taylor at this point thinks I just want to have sex with Avery because she's really hot. But I think you aren't disappointed that someone's not gonna be able to show up just because you find them attractive.
Yeah. She's like, I miss their companionship.
Yes. Which
And like,
she's never really felt with someone else that she's dated, even though
yeah,
they're not dating at this point. And then her
yeah,
friends are continuing to be like, Taylor, what's going on with you and Avery? Because like Avery's very attractive and they're just, I think Taylor's dynamic with Avery is probably different than what they've seen before. And she's like, oh, well, I'm just helping introduce Avery to the queer society, like a debutante, which I thought was really kind of funny. But it was nice to see that Taylor didn't say, like, I'm teaching Avery how to flirt, because that would have probably been embarrassing for Avery. I think she should control that narrative. But then Erica's at the party too, and I roll my eyes. Every time she was in the book, I was like, oh, God. And she's giving, as soon as she sees Taylor, she's giving Taylor a hard time about checking out people. And it's frustrating to Taylor. And I think this is the point where it starts to like hurt Taylor's feelings. And then it just kind of continues to intensify throughout the book. But Erica doesn't
yeah,
really seem to have any other conversation with Taylor in the book, at least throughout a majority of it, that isn't about what's going on with Erica or how Taylor dates too many people.
yeah. And Taylor gets hurt. She's like, is that really all you think of me? Like, you don't think that I can like be a grown up and have a real relationship with someone? Like, you think I have to do like, all these questions which I
Yeah,
think are legit. That it's
I
like,
agree.
yeah, clearly Erica doesn't view you in like a respectable way. And like she's not maturing with you in your friendship. So it's just like even though Erica thinks of herself to be the more mature one, like she's not acting mature. Like she's acting very like rude and immature towards Taylor. Um, but I'm glad that Taylor notices that and like is kind of being like, I'm gonna change because that's not who I am. Like I'm gonna show you that's not who I am. So some growth there, which is nice. But then we have our next flirting lesson, which requires casual but sexy. Again, where's my Pinterest board? I need to know.
I was
And
like, is
Avery,
casual but sexy yoga pants? Because they are casual, but they make my ass look good. So that's also sexy. Does that count?
yeah, like I'm wearing like a cut off like shoulder, and I'm like, this is casual, but is it sexy? Because you can see my shoulder. I don't
No.
know. Maybe we need to know. We need some more details. But Avery is super much pushed out of her comfort zone and wears clothes that she doesn't normally wear. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna have my bra strap showing, I guess. Like, and it's the start of Avery starting to become comfortable in her own skin. And this flirting lesson involves trivia with a lot of Taylor's friends who are clearly interested in Avery and caution her about Taylor's proclivity towards breaking hearts. So, kind of at this point, like Taylor needs new friends.
That's what I thought.
Like clearly Taylor's friends only think of her as being this promiscuous person who can't like hold down a relationship, and I can't tell if they're trying to sabotage anything that could happen between her and Avery just because like they want a chance at Avery because they like her. Like she's like new blood to the system, if you will. Or if they just generally think so poorly of Taylor. Like, this girl can't get her life together and all she does is sleep around. It's like, Taylor, we know you enough by now to know that you're not like that. And like, at least Avery sees like the good in Taylor, you know? So then we have trivia night again, which is super fun, which I love a good trivia night. And you see more sparks flying between Taylor and Avery when they're sitting close to one another, which neither one wants to admit it, of course, but they both feel drawn to each other. And it's fun to see Taylor get a little bit jealous at how her friends are flirting with Avery. So, but like, what do you expect? Like, you're bringing this like hot new little thing into your friend group and they're all attracted to each other. Like, of course they're going to flirt with her. Like, duh.
Right?
Like, take note.
And you're
But
also trying to teach Avery how to flirt, so she's going to flirt back.
yes, like you have no right to be jealous. If anything, just like be proud, I guess, and then take action in your own way. Like, who cares about a bet if you like something and you like someone? But I think this also makes Taylor like step back and think, I'm not going to rush it like I normally would have. So again, there's growth, there's good development there.
So our next flirting lesson requires super helpful description of casual but a little slutty attire, which Avery is like, I don't own anything slutty.
It's like you got casual but sexy, now casual but slutty.
Slutty, right? But just
Yeah.
a little bit slutty. What does that mean?
Minor slut.
Minor slut. Okay. And so this is where Avery is like, well, I'm going to wear this dress and I'm going to wear a red bra and I'm going to have it show the strap, which is, I guess,
Yeah.
casual but a little slutty. I
Yeah,
don't think of bra straps as slutty, but I don't know.
I would
Anyways.
think like more like having like the bra like stick out from like the top.
Yes.
You like have like a really lobe and like you can see the
Dress.
bra. Yeah, and
Mhm.
like a super tight like, which I don't know. Pinterest board again would have been so useful.
Would have been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because we're in a school-like setting, apparently. It's their midterm that Taylor calls it, and her midterm is that Avery has to flirt with Taylor. And as soon as I read this, I was like, we are playing with lots of fire.
So much fire.
So
here.
much fire.
You're
Like,
just like,
Taylor, do you
ugh.
not understand what's going to happen? And I don't think she means for what happens next to happen necessarily, but we all know it's going to happen tonight. It's like,
Yeah.
I thought of this when I read it. It's like the one bed trope where like there's one bed and everyone knows that's reading it like sex is going to happen. I was like, this is like a one bed. The midterm is the one bed.
Yeah.
And what's nice about their flirting is they actually do have these like deep topics that they cover. And so I think you start to see in this whole scene about how their relationship becomes and transitions from like a friendship to something more. But Taylor shares how she's thought about opening her own business. She talks about the distance between her and Erica. She, talks about which of her friends Avery would be interested in Avery. And then she's like, Avery, who would you be interested in any of my friends? And I'm like, you don't want to know the answer to that, Taylor. Like, what if she says yes?
Yeah.
But she doesn't. She says no. And that's because like Taylor has been the person Avery's been interested in from the very beginning. And all of these flirting lessons are just like continuing to build this like tension, like the sexual tension between the two of them. Because now like they're sitting close together. They're like touching each other, not in an inappropriate way in a public setting yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. But Avery doesn't she has so much just like self-esteem issues. She doesn't think that someone of like Taylor's caliber could be interested in her, especially not like in a romantic sense. And then Taylor is like obsessing about like losing the bet, which is like the only thing I think that holds her back at this point, really.
Yeah.
At least in her mind.
But it's more about like losing the bet, but like proving Erica right that like I can't be mature and have a relationship.
Exactly. But I think also like Taylor doesn't realize it at this point, but she has a lot of baggage deep down that she hasn't realized that I think also impacts like Avery's the type of girl, like she's the type of girl you take home, if that makes sense. Like she's the type of girl that you would marry. And so I think
she's endgame.
She's endgame, right? Like that I think scares Taylor a little bit too. So they leave the bar and then things get like escalate because then they like all of a sudden like their hands brush and then they're holding hands. And then Taylor makes a comment about like her hair and Avery's like, I like it. And she's touching her hair and then they're kissing. And then they go back to Avery's place and they end up having sex for the first time, which is also Avery's first time having sex with a woman. And I think
Yeah.
it's also the first time she's ever kissed a woman.
Yes.
So I've got lots of thoughts on this. I
Yeah,
think
lots of thoughts.
lots of thoughts. I think Taylor was wonderful for Avery, like throughout the experience. Like she tried to make her comfortable, enjoyable, and memorable, which not like everyone can say about their first sexual experience. However, I thought it was a little weird that Avery kissed a woman for the first time and like what 20, 30 minutes later they're having sex. Like that
Yeah,
just
just
felt like a big jump.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
we see like Avery being nervous. I think Taylor like tries to help calm that nervousness, but it did feel like it happened really, really fast.
Yeah. Like I kind of felt like Avery was already outside of her comfort zone, by like starting to engage in like the physical activities. So I think honestly, I would have rather have seen it kind of end at that point, at like a good night kiss. Because I just don't think Avery really was ready for more. Um, but that's not
Or
how it
maybe
went.
like some like second bait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
we
because
could escalate
even
a
if I
little
think
bit,
about
but
it, thinking about it even from like a heterosexual way, it's like I wouldn't want to go straight into sleeping with somebody like right after I kiss them for the first time.
like I've ever had a first kiss with someone of that gender.
Yeah. It's like
Like that feels like a lot.
it just feels like too much too soon.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
but
But we
yeah, I,
also, the only other thing is like we also don't know, we said this at the beginning, how long Avery has been, and I think it's safe to assume like she's bisexual. I don't think we've ever understood how long she's felt that way. Like, is this something where she's been attracted to both men and women her, majority of her life? Is this something that's relatively new? Because it feels fast to us because it feels like, based on what we know, her attraction to women, since she's never dated them, is relatively new. So it
mhm.
feels, but if she's been feeling this way for a long time, it may not have felt fast to her, I guess. I don't know. It
Yeah,
just felt fast to me.
felt a little fast. But what I did really appreciate though is like Taylor was seriously so great. Like she was just like anything you're not comfortable with, we don't have to do. Like she did a lot of check-ins. She even did like, like relax, like, is this okay? So it was very like trusting, I feel like. Um, and I think in that moment, you could tell like this was going to be a different relationship for both of them. Like Avery, it seemed like her sexual relationships before, like it didn't have that same kind of like trust. Um, and even for Taylor, it felt like she like normally would like rush everything beforehand. So her taking the time to like step back and like ask those questions was already creating like a different kind of relationship for the two of them. But the next morning, yeah, it's like, but the next morning, Taylor does feel like it was a mistake because she doesn't want Avery to think that this means she planned for them to have sex or that this meant that they were in a relationship, even though like we know this is like the beginning of something. But it turns out Avery doesn't think any of those things. And she was just saying that she's like, I enjoyed myself and I will see you on Tuesday for our next flirting lesson. Like, I don't think we're dating. I just enjoyed what we had. But this reaction leaves Taylor super shell shocked because this is not the type of reaction she's used to getting. It's almost like Avery has become now the carefree one about what happened, and Taylor now feels confused and like frustrated by everything. And it's like, hello, that's because you have feelings for Avery. And, I guess that's what we're all thinking. We're just like, dude, you like her. Like, come on. Like, get over yourself. Forget about the bet. Well, obviously, you just lost the bet, but
Lost
still,
the bet.
like, yeah, we all knew that was going to happen. But
Well,
also, it's like,
I was gonna
yeah,
say, the other thing it reminded me of is in Story of My Life that we did a previous episode on with Lucy Score. Um, after they have sex the first time, and like Cam is like, I mean, you know that this isn't a relationship. She's like, yeah, I know. I just wanted to have like hot, dirty sex with you. And he was like, wait,
yeah,
what? And
yeah.
she's like, yeah, I'm like, we made a sex pact. I'm just enjoying the sex pact. It
Sex squad.
sex squad. Right. So I just love that, like, once again, like the person who's used to being like
The
feeling
player.
like the player, right, is
Yeah,
like, I mean, hey, you know what this means? The other person's like, yeah, we cool.
yeah.
Like,
Like, don't worry about it. I
yeah,
wasn't thinking that.
why were
And
you
they're like,
thinking that
what?
I was thinking that? And then it almost creates like this weird thing in their mind where they're like, wait, why aren't you thinking that?
It's kind of like reverse psychology on them, and it works. Hmm, interesting. Um, so now, so basically Taylor's all like, what's going on? And she decides to invite Erica to breakfast because that's a great idea. But she's like, well, I'm up early. And she ends up telling Erica that, hey, you won the bet. Like, I slept with Avery, so it happened. And literally, Erica's just like, oh, yeah, you got a new conquest. And it's like, are we in college? Like,
Like,
no. Like, we're grown ups. Like, we're having mature adult relationships. Like, at least Taylor's gonna think about it, you know? Like, it's not encouraging, I feel like, for Erica to, like, literally refer to that as a conquest because it's like you're literally just trying to like push her back down in this like little hole that you have her in. Like, I just, oh, it was annoying. And Erica tries to convince Taylor that Avery is going to fall for her now because that's what always happens, especially because it was Avery's first time, which I'm like, well, maybe. You never know. Like, they all kind of say, like, your first time is the person that, like, sticks with you the most, like, the hardest, and, like, you're going to not be able to get over them. So Taylor's kind of freaking out over that now. She's like, oh my God, like, is that really going to happen? But also, like, do I want that to happen? I don't know, like, because I do like Avery, so it's hard. Um, so this is all going through Taylor's mind, and Erica's just like being a nosy person and
I was
not
gonna say
helping.
bitch.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah,
I
nosy
was
bitch.
like,
Yeah,
the
okay.
word that came to my mind was she's being a bitch.
You're being a bitch. Like, let your friend be happy,
Right.
and
Well,
like, and
and
now you
just
get a baby shower. So
exactly, like you got what you wanted. Like,
yeah,
shut up.
shut up. The meanwhile, Avery's on cloud nine. She's super excited. She's like, I finally had sex with a woman, and it was incredible. And like, girl apparently has never been satisfied in her sex life because like, come on. And also, like, this has been great for you. So she confides in Beth about having sex with Taylor. And Beth is super excited for her, which is how a friend should react when you tell them something big and meaningful happened in your life. But keep in mind, you know, Beth has only really known Avery for a few weeks. And she's already ready to rage at Taylor. Like, if Avery was unhappy with the situation or like Taylor's conversation with her about not being in a relationship, like, literally, Beth was like, what the fuck? Like, that's not okay to like start saying that like right after you sleep with someone. But like this is how friends should support each other. Like take notes, Erica. Like come on. Like be supportive. And also like be on the side of like if your friend or like if that person hurts your friend, like you're going to hurt them. You know? Like I'll beat a bitch down.
Exactly.
But maybe not Erica cuz she's pregnant. So, you know, not literally. But it's comical, honestly, how Avery tells Beth all of this stuff and how like she's like, I'm not gonna sleep with Taylor again, and Beth's like, okay,
Sure.
like, but even if you don't, she's like, I think Taylor still wants to. She wants you, and we all know the feeling is mutual for Avery. So it's just like, it's kind of a big old like, will they, won't they? Are they gonna come to terms with it? Are they gonna communicate? And you're like, honestly, I don't know. At this point, you're like they don't communicate about outfits, so I don't know if they're going to communicate about this truly. It's like
Which is weird because they're so honest with each other about like so many other things.
everything else, yeah.
Well, and that's why like I'm like Avery was honest with Taylor, just like Taylor asked her from the beginning, be honest about how she didn't think this was going to turn to something more. But then Taylor's like, is she not telling me the truth? I'm like, get out of your own head. Some
Yeah.
people say what they mean.
Yeah.
Okay. But things are weird. Because, like,
Yeah.
after you
Things are
have sex
weird.
with someone and then you have this weird conversation the next morning, things are weird. So,
Mm-hmm.
the next flirting lessons is that pottery painting, which is not something I would have picked for either one of them. And
No.
the fact that Taylor knew there was a pottery painting class was like surprising. It's all weird.
Yeah. It's yeah.
And so, Taylor's like off her game. Because I always think like Taylor has a lot of game and she has no game
Mm-hmm.
right now.
No.
And in the car, she like
Her
snaps
mojo's
at
been like sucked out. She's like, I
sucked
don't know
out.
what
It's
to
gone.
do.
I don't know
Yeah.
how to talk to people. And then she like snaps at Avery on the way to class, but then she like immediately apologizes and she's like, I'm being weird. And Avery's like, yeah, same. So they're feeling awkward, but they both agree they want to continue flirting lessons. And I'm like, famous last words. Back to the one bed trope. You know it's gonna happen again. And then Taylor tells Avery that she lost the bet and she has to plan this baby shower. And I was really surprised because I thought Avery would be mad about it because that's typically what happens in like a book like this when you see a bet,
Yeah.
like the other person the bet wasn't about her, but it kind of was. They get mad and she just like loses it and like laughs about it, which is I don't think old Avery would have done that. Um,
Yeah, no. There's definitely growth there now with Avery of like coming into her own. She's like, okay.
that's
Which
funny.
for somebody who like doesn't know much about like the social interactions with the queer community, I'm just like, do they always do this? Like, is everybody always betting on each other to like do or don't do different things? I'm like, because it kind of seems that way. Like, oh, I
At
bet
least
this
in
is
this
gonna
book.
do this. At least in this book, like that's what this social circle does, and you're like,
It's
this is
interesting, right?
hilarious. Yeah,
But
it's
then it gets
funny.
weirder because they go to the painting class and Avery is told to flirt with other people, and Taylor does not like it at
I
all.
could not imagine doing this. Like sleeping with somebody and then telling them to go try and
Like
like
pick
act like they
someone
want to
else
sleep with
up.
someone else. Yeah, I'm like,
Right.
this is just like no one's gonna win in this situation. It's
No.
bad.
Like it was a horrible idea. And then after painting class is over, Avery like has mentioned like during the painting class the person she was talking to about how she painted some bookshelves and she mentions how she wants to paint her apartment and she already has the paint, she just hasn't actually done anything about it for like some test colors. And Taylor's like, "Why don't we just do it tonight?" Because Taylor's spontaneous, which
Yeah.
is how they end up back at Avery's and have sex again. Because painting and pizza, sex. Painting, pizza, sex. Apparently is
Well,
the
see, I was gonna say
equation.
painting, paint, pizza, pussy.
All
That's where
true.
I was going. All true
Three
in
P's.
that order, and then
Yes.
repeat, and then
And
yeah.
repeat. Which then like kind of leads to the surprise situation because like Taylor is like, what would you think about continuing to do this? And I'm like, is she asking for like friends with benefits? And
Yeah.
she's like, I'm very much against that, which kind of surprised me because based on what you hear all of her friends say about her, it seems like that's the only thing she likes, which is which she makes very clear is not true. She's like, I want to like continue fucking you, but I also want to date you and I like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they agree to
And
that, and then they have sex again.
yeah, you're like, oh, okay, all right. Well, that's a good move forward. We are all
Yes.
growing and developing, and we see Avery tell her best friend Luke about dating Taylor, and he originally was kind of like suspicious. He's like, I thought Taylor was only giving you flirting lessons, so like I'm surprised given Taylor's reputation. And he's also like super concerned for Avery, as you know, happy for her, but he's just like, I just don't want you to like get your heart broken. And like he's literally like the next time he sees Taylor, he gives her the "Don't hurt my best friend" speech, which again, like Beth kind of wanted to do that too. So I'm like, it's nice to see Avery has these people in her corner. Um, but you kind of wish that like Taylor had more people like that in her corner that were
It feels
like,
like she doesn't have anyone like that in her corner.
no, it's like maybe Erica used to be that person in her corner, but like now Erica's also like trying to like push her into a corner rather than
Yeah.
like support her, you know?
I also wonder if Erica's always been like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. But now since they are like officially dating, we get actual dates rather than flirting lessons, which honestly I felt like all the flirting lessons really were just mini dates, honestly. Because like you're getting to know each other and all that stuff. But this time Avery gets to plan it, which is fun. So she's like, I know what I'm gonna wear. Yay, I have control. But you also like really love seeing how Avery is embracing and like growing confidence in all of this. And she takes a page out of Taylor's book by telling her to dress powerful. She's like, what does that mean? It's like,
I thought
aha,
like a
see?
suit. I was like, does
Yeah,
she want her to
a
wear like a suit, a
pantsuit.
power suit, a pantsuit?
I would
Like,
have
what does that
loved that
mean?
if she showed up in a pantsuit.
That would
That
have
would
been
be
so
fun.
funny for this activity.
Yeah, because they go axe throwing, which is actually a lot harder than it looks. Have you tried it?
No, I'm like terrified that I will hurt myself somehow.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super fun. It's really hard. Like you don't think about how like hard you have to throw it. Most of the time it just like hits the wall and just like falls down. So it's like it's actually hard to get it to like stick in the right way.
That's why I think I'll hurt myself. Like people think it's like I think I'm gonna like stab myself with the axe. I'm like, no, I'm afraid
No.
that like I have like
You just
neck and back problems. I'm afraid I'm gonna like throw up.
You're afraid
I'll
you're
be
gonna
like,
throw it backwards at somebody?
yeah, or I'm gonna throw out my
That'd
back
be
or
bad.
like pull something in my neck and then I'll be like not able to move and I have to tell people and they're like, how'd you get injured? And I'll be like, axe throwing.
Eggs throwing.
Like
But
the
if
first,
anybody has done it, they will understand. You're like, oh yeah, it's a full body thing.
right? Well, the first time I ever threw out my back, it was picking up my dog. He was like 12 pounds. So it's just like,
Okay, maybe axe throwing's not for you then.
I'm just like, I feel like it's like, you know, like they list like rides, like things you should not have. I feel like at axe throwing, like my medical conditions are like all the things you should not have to participate in this activity.
No, no plaid wearing for you and axe throwing, which is fun because that's what they wear, plaid. But we do see like they have a really good time and they're being honest about their conversations, about their bad habits and their insecurities. And then they get to go home and have sex again. But this time toys are involved, which again, you're like, yay. And also like nightstand dresser, like don't go in anybody else's nightstand dresser. You all know what's in there. But she has like a whole drawer full of stuff and she's like,
Of
pick
options.
one. Pick one. And I'm curious, like, what else is in there? Because like she picks like, like a nice good sized vibrator, but she's just like, I'm curious. I'm like, what else do you have? Like, are there other size dildos in there? Are there whips? Is there
How
like
deep is this
how
drawer?
deep is this drawer? Like, are there more drawers? Are they like organized? Although it's Taylor, so it's not organized. Let's
It's
be
not
real.
organized. There's not bins. They're not
No,
separated.
they're
There's no
not.
home edit style going on
I
here.
hope they're clean. That's the only thing. I hope they're
I would
clean.
assume so.
I would assume so.
I would assume so.
Um, but I was just like, oh, I like a good toy. That was fun.
Right?
Um, so
We could have used more details on the toy situation though.
I know. And then again, it was right afterwards, Avery was like, well, I want to use it on you. And it's like, I do appreciate that we are getting to experience, Avery's first time and all of this stuff because it is kind of like her coming out story of like getting into this world. But like how I don't know, I feel like in some of our spicy books, like it's nice to get both persons' perspective on things. And since we have two females, it's like, why are we not getting Taylor's perspective on sex a lot? Like we get most of it on Avery. We get some. We
We
get
do.
some on Taylor.
But
But
no, I
still.
think that would be helpful too, because I think if you read this and you were kind of in a similar situation to Avery, it could have been a great opportunity for learning on your part. Because I think
Yeah.
you and I have talked about it before. Like there's some books that are really great about, especially in like certain situations that you've never experienced. They give you enough detail to be able to like think about how you might do that with your partner. And I think this could have,
Yeah.
if it would have taken it like a little bit further, I think we could have had that, which would have
There's
been
like a
nice.
little missed opportunity, I feel like.
I think so too.
Uh,
Okay. Well, we're together for a few weeks. And then Avery and Taylor meet Erica and Sloane, who Taylor like hates Sloane because Sloane lives next to Erica. Like Sloane has done nothing wrong
oh,
except
she's existing.
she's existing. She also has a child and a house, and she's kind of like type A like Avery. But they all meet to plan this baby shower, which like Taylor is dreading. One, because it's a baby
Yeah.
shower.
Yeah. She's like, I know
Um,
nothing about babies. What do I
right.
do?
What do I do? I know nothing about planning showers. I've never been to one. And then she doesn't like Sloane. So I think at this point, like she's convinced herself that her problems that she's having with Erica are because of Sloane, which it's really not, which she learns later. But it helps tremendously that like Avery's an event planner and she basically like I feel like she comes like to the breakfast meeting and it's like really a meeting between her and Sloane and like Erica's there and Taylor's there.
Yeah.
That's
It's
kind of
their
what's happening.
respective seconds in the duel,
Yes.
if you will.
In the conversation. And it
Yeah.
goes great. Like it goes great. But you also
Yeah.
see like Erica feeling the need to trash on Taylor's dating history again. I'm like, they're here in the morning for you. They're helping plan this baby shower for you. Why are you continuing to rip on her?
Yeah. It's
But
like, leave her alone.
exactly. The other thing that I like though is that you all like later, kind of like after they leave, Avery gives like Taylor some big compliments about like why they're together, like why she enjoys spending time with her. And I think Taylor needed to hear those. And it was also helpful because Avery doesn't really compliment people a lot in the book because it's just like Taylor says at the beginning, like you flirt with people how you like to be flirted with. Avery feels uncomfortable receiving compliments, so she doesn't give a lot of compliments. So this was also like I think a big point. And then
Yeah.
we see like what I would say like is super small, but like up levels their relationship when Avery's like she's gonna go to her garden bed and Taylor's like, well, can I come with you? I'd like to see it. And that feels like another big step because right, Taylor is not a gardener. Taylor knows nothing about gardening, but she knows it's important to Avery and wants to be part of that. It also gives her the opportunity to meet Beth, who she knows is important to Avery. right? And then I love it because it's like, like Taylor Lee, like Avery texts Beth, like, hey, Taylor's gonna stop by, like, be cool, right?
Yeah.
Which we all have friends where like we have to send them that message. And then like
Yeah.
afterwards, Beth's like, okay, I got questions. What's going on? Because it looks
Yeah.
like something you're saying it's just sex. And that kiss when you guys left, when she left, looks something deeper. And this is where you see like Avery is still not, even though like they've had sex multiple times, they're dating, she doesn't feel confident enough in herself about dating Taylor. And she keeps saying like Taylor doesn't do serious relationships. Like Taylor, like I'm not good enough for Taylor. And then like she also says, and this is where it's like I got a little frustrated with Avery because she's like, it's the first time that I've dated someone that doesn't stress me out, which Taylor thinks is because like their relationship isn't serious. But I'm like, no, it's because when you're with the right person, that's how it's supposed to be, Avery.
Yeah.
Avery.
Exactly. It's like this is what you want.
Right. Like
Your
if
past
you're with
relationships were sucking because they weren't the right person.
that, like, and sometimes I've seen that with so many people in my life before where they're like, oh, well, like it's just easy. And I'm like, uh-huh. And they're like, yeah, there's something wrong. And I'm like, no, you you don't want all the stress and the drama. That's not good. That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like so like yeah, it's like in my marriage, like we don't have drama. We don't like have like crazy stress about like we're fighting, we're not fighting. It's like everything is smooth and like
Yeah.
chill and like we communicate. And like that's healthy.
That's
What
what
you
it's
should
supposed to look like.
want. Yeah, it's like and we still want to fuck all the time. So it's
All
like
right. Best
you
of
can
both
have all
worlds.
yeah, so you can have the best of both worlds. Exactly. So it's like that's what you should be looking for, you know? Like if you're fighting and like having like stress and like chaos in your life, like go to a counselor, figure out what's
Yes,
going on, or
exactly.
move on. Like,
Or move on.
yeah, it's like fix it or move on. So it's, yeah, they're definitely new relationships, figuring everything out. Um,
And Avery's loving the sex, right? But then it's
oh
like
yeah,
she gets in her own head because she's like, I'm not good enough for Taylor. And then she's like, oh God, like what if Taylor's super experienced and the sex isn't great for her? And then Beth's like, well, you should ask Taylor. Like, I love Beth because I feel like she's like the level-headed person where she's like, well, you just talk to Taylor.
yeah,
Like, what do you
communicate.
mean? Communicate.
Yeah,
So I feel like that is really, really helpful for Avery to have that kind of person she can confide in that's not Taylor.
yeah. And maybe for that plot point in the story, that's perhaps why we don't see a whole lot of Taylor's perspective in sex.
That's a good
Because
point.
like we need to kind of be in the dark like Avery to be like, does she like it? Do we need to have that conversation? And then like since we do later after this, like kind of get more of Taylor's viewpoint on stuff, we're like, okay, that's good.
But I
But
also feel like if she didn't like it, I feel like Taylor is vocal enough where like that would have come out.
yeah, she
Right?
would have coached her.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Avery takes direction really well.
Really well. She says that multiple times. And it was
Yeah.
really hard not to like think about innuendo with that every time I read it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, I bet you do.
You take notes.
Yeah. You literally take notes. But that'd be weird to do during sex, you know? It's like well Hazel did during
Yes.
in Story of My Life where she's like, oh wait, this is really good for the book. Let me write it down. He's like,
He's
shut
like,
up. Let's stop with that
if
away.
you go take notes during sex, you are having the wrong kind of sex.
Yes, like no, don't do that. But on their next date, Avery is told, so Taylor's doing this one. Avery is told to wear something flirty. And apparently her dress is just too fucking amazing, according to Taylor. She's just like, oh my God, like, you're killing me here. But here, Avery gets the courage to ask Taylor if she's enjoying having sex with her. And Taylor's reaction is so wonderful and so sweet. And she's just like, I'm reassuring you in every way that like I do like it a lot and like it's amazing. Like when you touch me, like I feel like I'm coming alive. Like I apologize if I've done anything to make you feel different. Like I don't want you to think that I'm not enjoying it. Like I am. But like this is a good example of how like you can help address a partner's insecurities. Like have the conversation, you know? Like talk to them like, do you like it when I do this? Do you like it when I touch you there? Like or would you rather me touch you somewhere else? Like, can we try this? Like, communication is always key. And like, you can't be afraid to ask the questions and you can't be afraid to have the answers. So you just got to do it. Got to bite the bullet and just do it. Or go dance. because that's what they're going to do. Because then they go to dance class again. But this time they dance with each other. And you're like, yay. But it's basically like foreplay in class because salsa, you get real close. You get all
Right?
up in each other's business. Hands everywhere, bodies everywhere.
And then
But
later there were hands and bodies everywhere.
yes, there were lots. And you're just like, all right, good job, you guys. You got some chemistry. I'm happy for you. That's nice. And now it's baby shower time. So it's like scene change. But first we get morning sex. So you're like, yes, thank you very much. And we learned that Avery has a surprise planned for Taylor after the baby shower. And you're like, ooh, okay,
Once
what's
again,
the
I had only
surprise?
dirty thoughts, which
Only
I
dirty
guess
thoughts.
technically also
It
did fit in here.
works. It
It
does
did
work.
work.
Or dirty things. But the quick rundown of the baby shower. So literally the venue and decorations are perfect because obviously Avery and Sloan do amazing. And Sloan is honestly not as horrible as Taylor originally thought. So, maybe don't judge a book by its cover. And also makes you wonder if we might get a book about Sloan in the future with some of the breadcrumbs that were dropped on her just being like really lonely. So, kind of how we got into Avery's story. Now it's like, we're going to get into Sloan's, like world adjacent.
That's
And
my
then we
idea. We'll
have,
see.
yeah, I think you're onto something there. And then we have Erica's wife, Sam. She has to leave the shower early due to a work call, which Erica is really upset about. Basically, Erica is just like, if it's not about me, like, I don't like anything. Like, I get it's baby shower, but still, like, calm down. People have to work, like, at the same time. And all of Erica and Taylor's friends talk about Taylor and Avery, and Taylor hears them making a bet on whether or not they will last. And Erica is like super bitch, leading the conversation, saying that her pregnancy is going to last longer than the relationship, which seriously, I'm like, that is so uncalled
Horrible.
for and
Yes.
terrible. Yeah, I'm just like, come on. I'm just like, this is a negative environment. Like, Taylor, you need to get new friends.
Well, and it'd be one thing if she thought Avery and Taylor weren't a good fit and she had like a private conversation and shared her concerns with like Taylor. But like
Yeah.
this is I think that's like my number one frustration is like this just feels mean all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you know what? You're not really a true friend. Like, she's doing this all behind Taylor's back, too.
Exactly.
And it's like, you're gossiping about me. And like, this isn't like okay. Like, I have found out from like that a friend once gossiped about me behind my back. And honestly, we're not friends anymore. Because I found out about it and I'm just like, you know what? I don't need that in my life. Like, I'm not going to give you anything to gossip about because I'm just moving on. Which I'm like, Taylor, you kind of need to do this, I feel like. So Taylor, is super hurt and irritated at the end of the shower and tells Avery what she overheard. And Avery's response is just like, you know what? I'm now invested in this and I'm going to make sure that Sloan wins this bet. And you're like, we just have to stay together long enough to prove that the haters are wrong. And at first Taylor's like, yeah, that's really funny. But also like, wait, is there like a timeline? Like more than 7 weeks? Like, wait, but I like you. But they don't talk about that exactly. And Avery just tells Taylor that like your friends are just jealous of you and you shouldn't have said any of those things. And you're like, yeah, you're right. Go girl.
Exactly.
Like
And
you support your girl.
yeah, Taylor needed to hear that I think at that moment too. I feel like I think she doesn't get a lot of compliments. I think a lot of people like think highly, like they'll say like she's charismatic, she can get any woman that she wants, but I don't think they ever mean it as a compliment. Like I feel like they always mean it in like a derogatory way almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of saying like, oh, like everybody loves her, there's like everybody loves her.
Loves her, if you know what I mean.
Like
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
It's kind of
literally
slut shaming a
slut
little
shaming.
bit.
Yeah.
That's what it feels
Totally
like.
slut shaming. It's
We
like,
don't do that to people.
no.
You do you and you do your life and you have whatever types of relationships you want to have with everyone that you want to have them with and just communicate and be honest about all of it.
Yeah. So we're happy that Avery says that and sticks up for her.
Yes. So it's time for Avery's the surprise that Avery has planned, and Taylor is like not looking forward to it. I feel like this is everyone can relate to these situations where you're like, oh great, well I'll pretend to be happy that I'm here. And she thinks that she's gonna go to like some fancy dinner or whatever. But instead it's a spa afternoon because Avery was like, you lost the bet and you had to do the baby shower. if you would have won, you could have had the spa. So I want to treat you to
Yeah.
that, which is such a sweet and thoughtful gift, which is exactly like
Yeah.
what Taylor needed after the baby shower she didn't want to go to, let
Hmm.
alone plan. And
Yeah.
so, but then you have, they like do mud baths, hence the dirty reference that we made earlier.
Dirty.
Dirty.
But it's fun. She's like, I'm playing in mud like I'm a kid.
Good. Right?
Which I'm like, yeah, that is really fun.
And I was thinking I could never get in a mud bath. That would be so gross. I'm like, give me like the springs, the facials, the massages. You could do like a
There's
mud
one,
mask.
yeah, there's one close by here where like literally it's like a giant like pile of mud and you just like cup it and you like rub it all over your body. That one's really
Hmm.
fun. I
See,
like to do that.
I feel like I have so many environmental allergies that somehow like I would do that and have some sort of like weird
Weird
environmental
reaction.
allergy reaction to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Mud mask for you.
mud mask for me.
Yeah.
So, but Taylor's like enjoying the spa, but she can't stop thinking about like what Erica said about her. And she keeps trying to like push it to the back of her mind and enjoy her time with
Hmm.
Avery, but it's still there.
Yeah.
So then after the spa, this is like the first time we see Avery take charge sexually with Taylor, where she's like, I would say like the aggressor in the relationship, or like sexually. And she's like takes her dirty talk to another level. She's been like kind of, I would say, reserved about that in the book. And Taylor is like, oh, I like this.
I
I
go,
think she gives like Taylor like 3 orgasms, which is that's a lot.
yeah.
Like,
Also, like, good for you, Avery. Like
right?
you learned quickly.
Yes.
Good for you. You take
You're
direction well.
you take direction very well. I'm sure there are a lot of people that wished other people took better direction like Avery did.
Right? Yeah.
And then
I think
Taylor's
that's
like,
one thing that guys are really jealous of, that girls can have multiple orgasms like back to back.
right,
So that's exciting.
it is. It should be a requirement.
That should be a requirement.
It should be a requirement. But Taylor is like enjoying this new kind of like sexually forward Avery, but then she's also like what's gotten into you? And Avery's like, well, I mean, we have an expiration date in 7 weeks, so I just want to enjoy it for as long as we have left. And Taylor's like, well, what if I don't want to break up in 7 weeks? And Avery takes it as, well, I'll keep it a secret, assuming that Taylor would want to break up with her sooner.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't even think it would be possible that Taylor wouldn't want to break up with her in 7 weeks. And this felt like one of the few times where like they aren't being honest with each other. Like they've been so
Yeah.
honest before about their feelings. But like here I'm like,
You're like, just say
just
what
talk.
you actually mean. Like,
Correct.
don't like talk around it. Like, don't make jokes. Just literally like ditch the sarcasm and just say it for real.
Exactly.
You want to be
Say
together.
what you mean.
Like, ugh, so frustrating. And then the next morning, Taylor leaves Avery's place or she leaves Avery because she's hurt and she doesn't say anything about how she's feeling. And honestly, what's interesting is that like Avery hasn't even considered this, that like Taylor may want to continue dating her until Luke brings it up. Because he honestly had hoped that they were serious because they seem to really like each other. And, Avery's been really happy and he's like, you deserve this. And he pushes Avery on whether or not she really wants to break up with Taylor. And Avery finally admits that she doesn't. And like she could actually have real feelings for Taylor. But she knows like that's not what Taylor wants or like Taylor does. So she like, but again, she doesn't talk to her. She just assumes all these things. And so she's not letting her feelings get big, or she's trying not to. And Luke's just like, that's dumb. Like, you need to talk to Taylor about it and not give up on a relationship that honestly could be something more, only because you're afraid of getting your heart broken. And like, you kind of understand Avery's hesitation only because this is the first like lesbian relationship she's had. So she's like, is this what's normal in this? Or like, again, like she's really insecure on her like sexual experiences in this case, where she's like, I know Taylor's been active with a lot of people and like I'm her like latest conquest, to use Erica's terms, even though I hate that. But like, am I something more to Taylor? Like, I don't think I am. I think I'm just someone else for her. But no communication. You're just like, guys, come on. Nobody's communicating about their feelings. Taylor turns Avery down for hanging out on their typical Tuesday flirting lessons like they've always done, and just like blows her off, which again, you're like, Taylor, come on, like stop it.
Grow up.
Grow up. And it doesn't help that Erica like later texts her and is just like, hey, can you drop off a card from the shower and like have dinner and stuff, which honestly leads to a confrontation about Erica and Taylor and their relationship and like their friendship. And they're like, we need to talk about some things going on here. And Erica apologizes finally for making a bet about Avery and Taylor's relationship. But I kind of feel like this apology isn't like the most like wholehearted, you know?
I did not believe it like one
I,
second. I was like,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
I was like, I think you're just no. And because then again, like she's starting to whine about everything in her life, which I'm like, you're such a textbook narcissist. Like you're the victim and everything. And again, she's just like, you're my best friend, and like you haven't been involved in my life, like you haven't been there for me. But it's like, but girl, like all you've been doing is trashing on Taylor. Like, why would she want to like come around for more trash talk on her? Like,
Well,
you're
and she was like,
abusing her. Like,
she's like, well, you're not interested in babies or my pregnancy. I'm like, you didn't tell her you were pregnant until you were almost 6 months pregnant, woman. Like,
yeah.
Like,
And it's like I get like with her previous miscarriage, like you do want to wait because you want to make sure things are good. But I'm like, you didn't tell her until like 21 weeks. I'm like,
that's
you
a
could have
long
told her
time.
at 13 weeks when you know things are okay. Like,
Well,
wait till the 12-week mark, you know?
And Taylor's support, she admits that Taylor was a great support for her when she had her first miscarriage. And I'm like, so why wouldn't you have told her right away anyways? If she was, because
Yeah.
if it happened again, like she probably would have supported you the same way.
Yeah.
It felt like, do you know when your kids get caught doing something they shouldn't do? And they're like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught. Like, that's what
Yeah.
I felt like with Erica. I'm like, Erica, you're sorry that you got caught. You're not sorry you did it.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. So you're just like, Cry Me a River, Erica. Come on.
That's the song
And
that was playing in my head as I read this. Like the Justin Cry Me a River. I was like, Cry Me a River.
You're like, okay.
Mm.
It's like the only positive outcome really of this conversation is Taylor realizing that she does care about Avery and is truly falling in love with her. And finally, Erica does something good and like encourages her to tell Avery about this. And we're like, great. Thank you so much for finally being a good friend. Like, and doing something not for yourself. Ugh. But you're like, Erica, you're still like on my shit list.
Erica doesn't get off my shit list in this book. It just
No, she
doesn't.
No, yeah, she stays.
Well, Avery's struggling too because she hasn't seen her talk to Taylor, which isn't normal for them of this whole entire summer, right? But
Yeah.
she does have Beth who tells her to like, you should talk to Taylor about your feelings. And Avery's like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. And she like turns her phone off, which is like problematic because Taylor now is like desperately wanting to talk to her because she's gotten up like the, kind of courage to tell her how she feels. And Avery's not responding to her texts until like late that night.
And she's
so
like, oh my gosh, are you ignoring me? Like,
yeah, well, which is kind of true, right? Like, because
yeah,
Avery's hurt too, and she's not ignoring her on purpose. She doesn't actually see it, but
yeah,
they have time to wait till the next day. And so when they go out the next night, Avery is wearing like the same dress she wore the night they had sex for the first time. It looks like they're headed to the same place. And like Taylor's really nervous. And then Avery like stops her on the walk and she's like, I have to tell you like something. And Avery's like, oh, great. Now like, or Taylor's like, oh, great. Avery's going to like have the talk and break up with me. Nope.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to break up with her. Like she wants to be with her. And then Taylor responds by saying she's falling in love with her. And then we get like our happy ending, which is, it felt a little rushed.
Yeah.
A little bit.
They should have had more communication, I feel like, in between that.
Yes.
Maybe another sex scene.
Yeah. Always. So then we get the epilogue where we see like Taylor and Avery are at Beth's surprise wedding. Their relationship's going really well. We know it's like New Year's Eve. And in fact, like there's kind of like a comment at the end that I did really like where Taylor was like, well, could you ever see yourself doing this? And she was like, are you proposing? And Taylor's
Is this your proposal? Yeah.
Right? And she's like,
I would never propose at someone else's wedding. No.
Note to self. Note to people. Don't ever do that. That's horrible. Bad taste. But she was like, yeah, like I could see us doing this. And I think that was just, if you think about like Taylor's progression through the book, right? Like that was a big moment. So.
Really big.
Okay.
It was a happy ending.
It was a happy ending. It was like a really cute way to end it all. And lots of unexpected pieces to it. So let's talk hot and steamy. It felt like a 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
A 3. Yeah.
It felt like a 3.
Sure.
So first thing that we get is chapter 9, where Taylor and Avery have sex for the first time. And I would say like there were some details in that. I always say this. We always wish there's more detail, more sex scenes and more details. Yeah. The reason why is I think it could have been such a great way for this book to have helped other people, like other women who are learning to have relationships, sexual relationships with other women for the first time, like what that could look like. And also could probably help teach men a few things too. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
So I would have loved that aspect of it to just gotten some more details about how Avery learned to how not just how Avery enjoyed it, but all how Avery learned to reciprocate with Taylor. Because I think that's the part that would have been the newest for Avery.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Like she's never gone down on a girl before.
right.
So she's just like she knows how she likes things. But
Well,
yeah, it's
does
like
she?
trying
Because
to
I don't get the sense that Derek was very
Oh
good
yeah.
at it.
That's true. Well,
So,
she knows how she likes things now from Taylor,
yes.
you know. Um and it was funny being in like the inner monologue for a little bit with Avery like right before that where she's like, "Do I have too much hair? Do I have too little hair? Do I smell? Like do I take like what, you know, which honestly like always kind of goes through my head sometimes too where I'm just like, what's going on down there right now? Like is
Right.
this what they're gonna be into? Like, I don't, you know, is this gonna be a problem? But like, once you're with somebody later and you're comfortable, you're just like, get to town,
Right.
just go. You know what to do. You understand the assignment. Now go.
Yes.
But it's just funny because I'm just like, oh yeah, girl, I've had those inner thoughts too. So I get you. But yeah, again, it's like I want to see her learning how to do it.
Yes.
I just felt like if it was going to be a little bit more true to like truly Avery's coming out experience, like we needed that. And I kind of feel cheated that we didn't get it.
That I think would have taken the book to like another level, and it would have been not just a great story, but also a really great resource.
Yeah. I mean, it's called Flirting Lessons. So part of the lessons is teaching that too. You know. Um, but then chapter 12, we have mentioning Taylor and Avery having sex again the night before, followed by morning sex. And you're like, okay, okay, things are getting steamy. Not too bad, but steamy. Chapter 13, Taylor and Avery have sex again and toys are involved, but I felt like it was cut really short. It was like literally at the very end of the chapter. And it
Yes.
was just like, here's a toy, a vibrator. All we really know is that like it kind of gets used like internally. So, but and then she's just like, I want to use it on you too. And you're just like, but like, how what else are you doing?
I have lots
Like,
of questions. We've
what
talked about
else is
this
in this
before,
box? Yeah, it's like, what
right?
else
What
is
kind
in
of
our drawer?
vibrator are we talking about? Is
Yeah,
there
is it
sucking?
big? Is
Is
it
there like it's
small?
small? Is
Yeah,
it pulsing? Like we have questions.
we got questions.
What
We
can
want
we
to
learn from
know.
this?
Yes. Like, is it what? I mean, I got a lot of dirty questions, obviously, but I'm just like, I wanted more. I wanted to know more
Yes.
things. Like we do learn a little bit about like what each other is starting to like. Like they really like nipple action. It's like, are we gonna see nipple clamps? Like, I don't know.
Right?
Like that could like there's a whole world that doesn't get explored and mentioned that I feel like would have been useful in this book.
Well, and I think I
Um,
also expected Taylor to be a little bit more adventurous.
yeah,
And so I think that
yeah,
was also like I think I was going into it thinking like Taylor was a little bit wild in bed
yeah.
and very like
Like,
experimental.
does she have a strap on?
Like I don't know.
Does
Like
she do
I
that? Does she like that? I don't know.
right? Do we tie people up? Like we have lots of
Yeah.
this
I,
is
'cause
where
I
our
feel like
heads
Taylor
go.
would be. I feel like Taylor
I
would be
did
that person.
I do too. And I think I was expecting something like that to almost like shock Avery a little bit, but then also like turn Avery on.
Yes. Like
And so
unleash an inner like sex goddess for her.
yes, I was kind of like waiting for that moment. And it wasn't the
Yeah.
vibrator for me because like I'm like, oh.
No. I think
Unless I got
like,
more details and it was like the most explosive vibrator in the entire world, and I need to know like even more details about where it can be purchased.
right, yeah, it's like okay. Like when
Okay.
when Avery was like, I want to use this on you, you know, it's like Taylor needs to tell her how, you
Yes.
know? Like, I like it like this. I like it like this. Or now we can put it here. Or now we can pull out this other thing. I'm just like,
Or this one's my
what?
favorite, right?
Yeah,
More.
it's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, that's a good one. It's like, what else is a good one? So, chapter 14, We get mentions of Taylor and Avery having sex again, but no details. And you're just like, boo. In chapter 16, we have sex before the baby shower, which you're like, okay, all right, we're getting there, we're going, we're good. And then the sex after the spa, which was nice because you do get to see some dirty talk, which is fun. When you're like, okay, Avery, there you go. But I feel like she could have gone further.
Yes.
She could have gone a little bit further. But it's nice in that sense that like Taylor does get some reciprocation, and we kind of do get hear a little bit about Avery being like figuring it out how to like sit her up and like open her legs and like explore. And you're just like, but still, like, what are you doing with your tongue, Avery? Have you figured that out? I don't know. Have you?
Right. Have you?
Are you also like experimenting with putting your hands different places and your fingers different places? Like,
How's this going? Yeah.
how? Like, this is why we pick books, because we want the hot and steamy. Give me the hot and
Yes.
steamy.
I need
All I'm
more.
getting is the steam-ish. Like, it's like you open the door after the spa and the steam goes out and you're like, wait, no, come back.
Agreed. Okay, opinions. We've got a lot. We've shared a lot, I think, throughout the book of kind of like our opinions. I
Yeah.
think like the one that I would walk away from, if you haven't guessed yet, is I hate Erica. I hate her.
Yeah, we don't
I
like
hate her.
Erica.
She like quasi apologizes at the end. Everything is about her. She gets zero redemption in my book for her shitty treatment of Taylor. I
Yeah.
don't care what you're going through. You don't treat people the way that Erica treated Taylor.
No.
And Taylor, like in general, I need you to find new friends. I
Yeah.
need you to find desperately new friends. Like be friends with
Yeah.
Beth. Be
Yeah.
friends with Beth's
Beth
wife.
and her wife sound awesome. Like,
Find people like
give
that.
Sloane a chance, you know, like your friends don't like they can be straight friends too, like, you know. I'm just thinking of myself where I'm just like, I want to be friends with you, Taylor. Can we be friends? You seem to be fun. Like, let's go have like a painting party, you know, whatever. But also, okay, one other big point that was killing me. I'm like, these chapters were so long. I was literally like, how much longer in this chapter? And honestly, sometimes it would just be like so little action actually happened in the chapter that you're just like information overload. It felt like a ton would happen like sometimes, and then it'd just be like filler in between. Then I'm like, I don't know. It was hard for me, honestly, sometimes to like keep going until I would get to like an action part, and I'm like, all right, cool, like it's picking up again, and then it'd be like 10 more pages to the end of the chapter, and like nothing else happened.
Well, that's why I think if
So,
there would have been shorter chapters, I don't think it would have felt that way. Because I think
yeah,
like sometimes there were like scenes where nothing happened, but you needed like or nothing big happened, but you need the context. Like a lot of
yeah,
Avery's conversations with Luke.
yeah,
And like if that would have been like a chapter, I think every time I have a chapter, I feel like it's like a mental break where I can go like,
yes,
okay. And then you can also pause if you need to do something else. But when you're stuck
yeah,
in the middle of a long chapter that where it feels like it's slow moving a little bit, maybe because it
yeah.
needs to be, it feels different, I guess.
And I feel like that can be okay every once in a while to have like super long, but it felt like every single chapter was so
It's long,
long.
so long, so long.
I was dying at certain points where I'm just like, I need to stop, and but I don't
I
like
need
want to like forget stuff, but
exactly, but also I need to like I have to pee or like I
I
have
have
to go
to,
do something.
I gotta do something. I gotta go pick up my kids from school. I can't.
Like I need, yeah. So I'm a
Uh,
bigger fan of like shorter chapters. Like I love like 6 to 7 page, especially in contemporary romance, like 6 to 7 pages, which is like enough.
unless the chapter is steamy, then that can be as long as it
That
needs to
can be as
be.
long as that can be 25 pages, 30 pages, more
That'd be
details.
fine. Yeah, it's like it literally the parts where like the chapter would end with the sex scene. I'm like, no.
Like this is where it should continue.
It's like I want 10 more pages of this. Like get into details on this now, please. Like why? Such a tease.
Such tease. So as a
Such
tease
tease.
for what's next.
Yeah, speaking of teases.
Now, if you enjoyed this book, you'd also probably love Drunk on Love, which is also set in Napa Valley. It tells the story of Avery's best friend Luke, how he fell in love with Margot, who you see mentioned in this book. We'd also recommend Buy the Book and While You're Dating. They're two of our top faves of hers. And then a lot of Emily Henry books also feel like very similar to this in terms of kind of like the romance and deeper meaning to it. Favorites of those so far, Happy Place and Book Lovers.
Yes. And join us next week when we dive into the world of romantasy and discuss Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. So, really excited about that one. It's been all over social media. We can't wait to dive into it and experience that with everybody else. So, please go ahead and order that and read it so we can have a lot of fun in our discussions.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to Late Night Reads. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Late Night Reads Podcast, and check out latenightreads.com for even more information about all the books we're reading. If you loved today's episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast, and share the show with your fellow book lovers.